The cruelty of hell. The concept of hell as an eternal, never-ending punishment where forgiveness and redemption are not offered, is cruel and unjust for several reasons. The idea of an eternal punishment contradicts the principles of fairness and justice. In human legal systems, punishments are seemingly proportionate to the offense committed. A punishment that lasts forever, regardless of the nature of the sin, seems excessively severe. No finite crime committed in a limited human lifespan could justly merit an infinite period of suffering. This imbalance raises ethical concerns about the fairness of such a punishment. The lack of opportunity for forgiveness and redemption in hell compounds its cruelty. In many religious and moral systems, the possibility of repentance and transformation is central. People are generally believed to have the capacity to change, learn from their mistakes, and improve themselves. By denying this opportunity in hell, the concept dismisses the potential for growth and moral improvement, rendering the suffering both endless and purposeless. Additionally, eternal punishment contradicts the concept of a benevolent and loving deity. Many religions portray God as infinitely compassionate and merciful. Condemning souls to eternal torment without the possibility of pardon appears incompatible with these divine attributes. It raises the question of whether such a system reflects the true nature of a loving and just deity. The psychological and emotional aspects of eternal punishment are also significant. The concept of infinite suffering is difficult for the human mind to grasp fully. It induces existential dread and fear, potentially affecting individuals' mental health and their perception of the divine. This fear-based motivation for ethical behavior may undermine genuine moral development, driven by understanding and compassion, rather than by terror of endless punishment. Eternal hell can be viewed as fundamentally at odds with the concept of justice, as restorative rather than retributive. Modern understandings of justice increasingly emphasize restoration, rehabilitation, and reconciliation. Eternal punishment, with no hope for restoration, seems purely retributive and fails to address the underlying goals of justice, such as healing and the reintegration of the wrongdoer into a harmonious relationship with others. The concept of hell as an eternal, never-ending punishment without forgiveness or redemption is cruel and unjust because it is disproportionate to finite human sins, denies the possibility of moral growth, conflicts with the notion of a compassionate deity, induces existential fear, and disregards the restorative aims of justice. The necessity of forgiveness. A society that harbors unforgivable sins can be seen as mirroring the unjust and cruel nature of the Christian hell. In such a society, the refusal to forgive and allow for redemption creates a harsh and punitive environment that can have damaging effects on individuals and the community as a whole. When a society adopts the stance that certain actions are beyond forgiveness, it essentially condemns individuals to a perpetual state of moral and social ostracization. This approach can be likened to the eternal punishment of hell, where no opportunity for redemption or change is provided. Just as eternal damnation is seen as disproportionately severe, a society that refuses to forgive perpetuates an unending cycle of punishment and exclusion, which can be viewed as inherently cruel and unjust. Not forgiving abusers forces the mentally ill to operate in the shadows, preventing them from seeking help due to fear of punishment, torture, or death. As a result, they remain untreated and unrehabilitated, which perpetuates harmful behaviors. This leads to a cycle where more people are hurt and traumatized, increasing overall suffering and preventing healing within society. Encouraging forgiveness and support, rather than threats, promotes rehabilitation and reduces harm. Our society, by refusing to forgive, is perpetuating this evil, not stopping it. Christians claim to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, who emphasize turning the other cheek and forgiving those who wronged you. However, in the face of true evil, such as rape, murder, and pedophilia, many Christians abandon these teachings. This raises the question of why one would call themselves a Christian if they discard Christian principles precisely when they are most needed. By refusing to forgive, individuals not only contradict the foundational tenets of their faith, but also perpetuate the cycle of cruelty and retribution that their religion seeks to transcend. In this context, those who refuse to forgive can be compared to the figure of Satan in Christian theology, who is often depicted as unyielding and unforgiving. By denying others the chance to seek redemption and make amends, Individuals who withhold forgiveness adopt a stance that mirrors the merciless and punitive nature attributed to Satan. This refusal to allow for rehabilitation and transformation can dehumanize and vilify those deemed unforgivable, reducing them to the sum of their worst actions without considering their capacity for change and growth. The refusal to forgive can have a corrosive effect on both the individual and society. Holding on to anger, resentment, and a desire for retribution can perpetuate a cycle of negativity and pain. This unyielding stance can hinder the healing process, both for the victim and the perpetrator. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is often seen as a crucial step in healing from trauma. It allows individuals to release the burden of anger and hurt, creating space for emotional and psychological recovery. The relationship between an abuser and their victim is complex. Abusers often suffer from their own trauma and in turn create trauma in others. Both the abuser and the victim may build delusions to avoid confronting the painful truth of their actions and experiences. Forgiving an abuser is not about condoning their behavior, but recognizing the cycle of trauma and breaking free from it. By refusing to heal from trauma and offer forgiveness, one risks perpetuating the same hell that binds both the victim and the abuser to eternal torment. They both decide to endure this hell by harboring this unwillingness to forgive, not a God. Forgiveness does not imply condoning harmful behavior or absolving responsibility. Instead, it acknowledges the wrong while also recognizing the potential for individuals to change and make amends. This is achieved by both the abuser and the victim understanding the mental illness that trauma causes and its relationship with building delusions. In this way, forgiveness fosters a more compassionate and just society, where the focus is on healing and rehabilitation rather than perpetual punishment and exclusion. A society that embraces forgiveness and the possibility of redemption encourages moral growth, transformation, and less repeat abusers. It acknowledges that people are complex and capable of learning from their mistakes. By allowing forgiveness, society promotes an environment where individuals can strive to improve themselves and make positive contributions, rather than being permanently condemned for their past actions. In essence, the refusal to forgive mirrors the unjust hell of eternal punishment by creating a society that is unyielding and punitive. Those who withhold forgiveness risk becoming the very monsters they seek to condemn, perpetuating a cycle of pain and exclusion. Embracing forgiveness, on the other hand, promotes healing, compassion, and the potential for transformation, fostering a more just and humane society. Christians, in particular, should reflect on their commitment to the teachings of Jesus and strive to embody the principles of forgiveness and compassion, especially in the face of true evil such as rape, murder, and pedophilia, the unforgivable sins of our society. By refusing to heal from trauma and offer your abuser the forgiveness that frees them from their hell, you risk becoming the Satan of their world, the monster they created. This is why it is beneficial for individuals and society to have the courage to face our traumas, understand the mental illness that causes this trauma, and ultimately forgive our abusers for a sickness they likely have no idea they have.